The objective here is to review a student's notebook, and today we're going to go with my CIS 118 class. And this is the second one I've done this year, student name omitted of course, and I did check with them first to make sure it was okay to do this. So with their anonymity intact, I think we'll do a little taking notes on their notebook. So here we go. Starting at the top, I'll go ahead and scroll down pretty fast. You'll notice a lack of comments from me because A, either they replied and I resolved it, so I'm hiding the name, or B, I was not very chatty that day, which I think is interesting to say because sometimes I can give a lot of feedback, sometimes not too much. Just like students, they have their good days and bad days. And when a teacher like myself, I'm looking at all of this every day, it could be a little overwhelming. So here's a great example. The student didn't quite get to 18. That's totally fine though. But let's go up a little bit and kind of look at some of my comments. Today in this video, I'm just going to really try to zero in on those comments. So starting on August 23rd, let's get rid of some of that blank space. And by the way you could fix this, all the ones, I don't know how that happened, but if you highlight all of it, you go up here to the three dots, go over here to that numbered list and click it, then click it again. There it goes, being more normal. If you wanted the picture to wrap around the text, I could click that, and that kind of looks cool. Maybe put it right here, a little more natural. Can get rid of that one right there, though I'm cool with counting it as a note. Pictures are really good. You can see here on line 3, I added the word versions to the student's work so that they understand that on this day, when they first started studying Python, that there are 3 versions of Python. This student made some pretty cool observations here, like this one is interesting to me. I've done a lot of research on what is going on with the processor when you ask it to do something like divide by 0. So I might make video suggestions like here. This is an interesting video about what's actually happening at the lowest level. This is really good that they use the vocab word floats because at the end of the day, the more you use the unfamiliar words, the better you understand them. And in this case, a float is just a decimal number. So here's a Flash Talk Friday. I always love these. I'm just asking them to paste a link of the article they found. Otherwise, this was, really great work. Down here, I made the comment that that Intel and AMD are the dominant chip makers of the world. And on second thought here, I thought I should add that ARM creates a popular architecture that cell phone chip makers like Qualcomm use, though they're not the actual ones usually creating the chips. Oh, I scrolled down a little too much. Here we have a Monday review. That's can get pretty personal, so I'm going to skip that one. This is something I added to the student's notebook, so I'll go ahead and take that out. Maybe I'll remind them right here that they need a title, or they should have a title. That helps you when you're searching for things. You might not remember the date, but you might remember the title. Oh, and there we go. Once we got rid of my stuff, we actually see the date and title there, so that is terrific. Let's scroll up a little, make sure I'm not missing anything. Right here, I say reads and writes. That's what we mean when we say disk activity. So if you're playing a game and you're on the loading screen, that typically means you are reading the game data from the disk. So we all love those loading screens, don't we? No, I went too long without asking you guys some questions. Make sure you're following along with me and maybe reviewing. So what is a float? What else did we go over? What 2 companies dominate the chip market? And then what is disk activity? Okay, not too many of these today, but I just wanted to give some feedback on this notebook here. You're going to see this student has pretty brief notes, pretty brief sentences, but I really like this notebook. As you can see, they give me a lot to say, and often they will reply to me. Let's get rid of this addition I put in there. And you see right here, I helped the student get to 18 by throwing in a to-do thing for them to do, since they're interested in what it looks like to be digital forensics. All right, now let me find that spot where I particularly am loving what the student is doing. All right, here we go. So at this point in the lesson, the student has asked a question about a vocab word, and I didn't know the answer to this. I had to Google it myself. So I'm going to be honest with you. I just copy and pasted exactly what Google said at the very beginning. Basically, a tetrachromat is a particular organism, like a type of human, that has these four cone cells in their eye so they can see color more than other organisms. But here's where things get really good. So they ask a vocab question. They ask another vocab question, and I give a simple answer. And then on the third vocab question, rather than just asking and just moving on, I love that they make an inference because then, yes, they did know what this meant. It's nice of them to confirm. So things like that really make me as a teacher proud of my students. So I'm asking here, what is a really great learning strategy the teacher likes to see students do? And that is inferencing. It shows no fear, it shows the can-do attitude, and these are the types of things employers, I think, like the most in their employees. All right, so let's scroll down to the end because they chose such an interesting topic for their Flash Talk Friday that I want to kind of go over it, and then I plan on making a separate video about my own research on the topic they chose. So look out for that. I'll call it Gutzelle. And it really just gives me a great excuse to read from the Google AI blog. Though I don't think this has anything to do with AI. I guess I'll find out when I start reading that article. But here they go. They found an article from The Verge. I'm poking fun at them a little bit by saying, of course, it's an article. But it's okay that they make that distinction. You know how often I don't click on the links that my Google search gives me, and I just scan the first few sentences of like 10 different links? But here with number 3, things start getting interesting. Apparently, Google found a way to make JPEGs 35% smaller, so that's actually a significant reduction. Number 4, brilliant that they identify the date of this article, because even though they researched this on September 13th, 2019, they probably didn't want me or themselves thinking that this is something like brand new. So good job right there. Why is it important to put the date the article was published? Now with number 5, they identify that it's open source, so that's a good distinction to make. Number 6 is very just interesting. Gutzelle is a German word for cookie. Maybe it's Google's German branch that is responsible for creating this. And then great rest of the notes. I go ahead and finish. I try to leave a comment at the last sentence of many people's work just to give them a good conclusion or concluding feedback. But it looks like the student and I have a lot of research ahead of ourselves because we are interested in like the actual numbers and the bits and bytes that's going into this.